Hello, and welcome to the Adafruit Show and Tell. I'm Liz. I'm going to be hosting this evening. If you would like to join the stream to show off your project, you can find the link in the live broadcast chat on our Discord channel, and that's at adafruit.it/Discord. Go in there, you'll see the StreamYard link, and you can come in and show us what you're working on. But first, we're going to kick things off with some folks from Adafruit, starting with Jepler. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I see you really are live because you've got the clock right behind your head and we see it's 7:30.
Yes.
This is real and everything.
Yes.
Anyway, last week I came on and said, boy, I just got MP3 playback working on ESP32S3 and I played a mono and low bit rate sample. So today I'm back, put it through its paces a little more. So tonight I've got the Metro ESP32S3 and then a I2S to what is this, like a TRS, a stereo headphone connector. And so I'm going to turn that on, and what we're going to hear is it's going to mix two different Bartle Beats tracks, and it's going to kind of alternate between them because we're able to mix two stereo 44 kilohertz MP3s here.
Sweet. Sounds great.
Yeah, and then here's the other track. It doesn't necessarily come through super clear, but it's like ramping the volume up and down according to sine waves and mixing them up. So a lot of opportunities there. Oh, and it's playing it from the SD card, not the internal flash. So cool. It's really exciting that we're going to be able to do that. That's just the latest build that I pulled down, latest build as of like last Friday, I think. And yeah, that works, and it's really cool, and it should work broadly across the ESP32S3 microcontrollers as long as they have PS RAM. And we haven't tested it yet on the original ESP and the ESP2. It is enabled on some of them. Somebody should try it out and let us know.
Okay.
The other thing I want to mention before I go is about a week and a half from now, I will be at PyCon. I'll be doing a presentation on using CircuitPython to connect retro input devices like 40-year-old keyboards to modern computers with the power of the USB HID that's in CircuitPython. And I'm looking forward to that. And I would love to meet people in the CircuitPython community while I'm there. So if you see me, please come talk to me. I'd love to meet you.
Excellent. I'm really excited to use MP3 on ESP32S3. And
definitely opens up some stuff.
Yes, and I wish you luck with your talk. I love your retro HID project, so it would be cool to
Thank you very much.
Talk on that. All right, thanks so much, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye. All right, now we're going to hear from JP.
Hey.
Hello. How's
it
going?
I've got a cool little gizmo I wanted to show. If you can share a screen there.
There we go.
So this is a Feather ESP32S3 reverse TFT, one of our longer named microcontroller boards. It says it right there, in fact. And it is plugged into a Max 3421E, which is a USB host chip Featherwing. So with these guys plugged together, you can host USB devices. So you can plug keyboard in, you can plug a mouse in, you can enumerate those, get info on them. I think you've used these for doing some creating your own Bluetooth keyboard projects, right? So those have been fairly well developed. The newest thing on the scene is being able to act as a USB MIDI host. So if you're familiar with MIDI keyboard controllers, a lot of us have these inexpensive but pretty cool MIDI keyboards that only have a USB port on them, either this kind of old school B port or a micro B or sometimes now USB-C, but they lack any sort of classic USB UART serial style out, be it a DIN5 or a TRS. So a lot of these just have USB, which means they're a pain in the neck to try to use in microcontroller projects or to build sort of devices and gear and gizmos around, because it's not a straightforward, simple thing to host USB devices. So normally what you do with these is you plug them into your computer. That's the main thing that's happy to host them. And some synthesizer, desktop synths and sequencers or samplers and things, they'll have the guts necessary to do it. But now we're starting to be able to do this with CircuitPython and Arduino using these types of setups, which is really cool. So what you can see here is I've got a little UI on here and it says looking for a device. So this is a different keyboard sitting right here. I'm going to plug this one in. I'll plug that other one in a second. So when I plug this in, my Feather is now powering this keyboard. You can see it lit up here.
Oh, cool.
And it's hosting it in the sense that we're getting data from it. And in fact, this is an Arturia KeyStep 32 key keyboard, and it gave up that info. I didn't have to do anything. That's just like a message, manufacturer message built in. So
Very
I've got
cool.
that displaying on the screen here.
Mhm.
And then I've got a little bit of info that comes basically with every MIDI packet. I get a bunch of info. I can use things like what MIDI channel it's on. There's 16 standard MIDI channels. So I can see here it's coming in on one. I can also do fancy stuff like reroute things. So right now I'm saying my MIDI channel is coming in on one and it's going out on one, but I can change that to any of the 16. So by going out, what I mean is not only am I using this as a little monitor to display what the keyboard is up to, but this pink cable here, that's plugged into my computer. And so I can now send USB MIDI out and along. So this is sort of acting like a little man in the middle thing. And if I play notes on here, that I can turn that up a little. That's just a software synthesizer that's running on this computer here that I'm streaming from.
Cool.
Turn that volume up. It went down. I went the wrong way. Okay, can you hear that?
I can, yep.
Okay. So you can see also there, I'm doing things like what note's being played. So this says E3, F #3. I can go up an octave. It'll tell me F#4. So I'm able to see what note I'm playing, and you'll also see it's telling me the velocity.
That's really helpful.
So your synthesizer, depending on what you're playing through, will be able to detect how hard you hit the key and give you a little more sustain on that note when you hit it harder or do other things. And also this keyboard does a thing called channel pressure, which is another message that can vary as you push on the key. So you see that last little bit there. I'm not doing anything. You're not hearing anything change, but I can kind of vary the pressure.
Oh, okay.
Can also do things like, uh-oh, I've got a stuck note. So you hear it's still playing here. I'm not touching it. It shouldn't be. This is something that happens with MIDI, particularly when you're developing stuff. So I've put a MIDI panic function in here. If I press the first button on here and then send any other MIDI message, it just ran through and turned off all MIDI notes on that channel. Nice. There's some funky stuff going on. I'll probably talk about this on my show tomorrow about why I had to do a follow-up thing and it wouldn't just send that button, but we're working on that. And then there's also things like MIDI channels. So if I hold a note, I'll hold a couple notes here. So I'm doing some knob twiddling stuff here, and you can see same sort of thing as before. It's bringing in a CC, that's the continuous controller, bringing a CC1, and it's actually outputting it on 23. So this is kind of a neat use for a gizmo like this. This keyboard here has this little, it doesn't have much in the way of knobs. These up here don't do any good MIDI knob stuff. But this is it. I got this little control touch strip, and it sends out over MIDI CC1. If I want to receive on a different number, I can just change that. So here I can say, let's see, is this going to change or is that something else I'm doing? That's my channel. Oh, I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it UI'd yet. But the nice thing there is to change this is kind of a pain. I don't think you can do it right on the keyboard. I think you have to plug this keyboard into your computer and open up some Arturia software and go to the UI, right?
Yeah.
So it's useful to be able to bring a gizmo around and just find out stuff about what your MIDI keyboards are doing and maybe do a little bit of rerouting and remapping and that kind of stuff. Same with pitch bend. This right now is just showing me that I'm doing a pitch bend. And for some reason, it's giving me this 7-bit value when pitch bend should be like negative 33,000 to positive.
Yeah, that's the weird one that goes negative and up.
So I'm not sure why. This is using Small MIDI by Winterbloom as part of it. There's a fork of that Toddbot did that's giving some more advanced features. So I'm working a lot with Todd. And then Dan and Scott are going to come swooping in, hopefully, and fix this issue about why I'm blocking some stuff right now with the buttons.
Cool.
But you can see, as promised, if I unplug this and plug in my other keyboard here, it'll say looking for device. Right now, that sometimes that'll work with just a hot swap. Right this time I had to reset it, and now it said, oh, now we're using the MPK Mini 2. That's this little guy here. And this one has 8 knobs on it, so you'll see I'm getting different CC values coming in. Most of them are going straight through as the same number, but this first one here is MIDI 1, and so that's going out as, or CC 1, it's going out as CC 23. Lots of fun going on there. So
yeah,
try to kill that.
That's really cool because I have this kind of like little freeware thing that I use to monitor MIDI messages like that when I'm working on a project or something. So to have like a little CircuitPython thing that can do it just on the screen is really cool.
Yeah, I think it could be pretty useful. This will also do UART MIDI, so you could use it as the thing that just plugs in a USB MIDI keyboard but sends out sort of more classic 3-pin MIDI types of signals over TRS or DIN5 cable. So that's a possibility. And I'm thinking of also, if we can get some of the things worked out where UI stuff is a little more fluid, I may attach one of our little rotary encoder breakouts over I2C so that I can do better menu stuff if we want to get a little more advanced about, hey, let's transpose this into a different key or a different mode, or any of the kinds of, bank select where you might scroll through a lot of stuff. That could be useful. I'm also using, I'll give a plug to Cedar Grove, has C Grover MIDI tools library for CircuitPython.
Oh, very cool.
Right now, I'm just using it to do things like turn the MIDI note number messages, which are what come in. It's like, hey, I'm 47. And the fact that it shows up as C# 4th octave is a single line call in Cedar Grove's MIDI tools. He also has one that takes CC numbers and turns them into names, which is great. So like one will say, I'm the, mod wheel controller, and 7 is I'm MIDI volume, and 58 is I'm the wind after pressure, whatever. There's like all these standardized names for CCs. So I may add that in there too, which would be kind of fun to see these names that you often don't run into when you're dealing with CC stuff.
That is really cool. I didn't know about that. And I'll definitely use it for next MIDI project. Otherwise I end up adding in this huge table. So nice at this. I didn't
I was about to. I've done like crummy versions that don't say which octave, and then I was like, wait a second, I think this is like really nicely solved already by C Grover. So maybe he can throw that in the chat over there. That'd be really cool. So yeah, check that out, and you'll see more. Hopefully we'll get this into a state where I can write up a learn guide on it. Should be a pretty simple guide. And we've got Toddbot helping. We've got Scott. We've got Dan. So the whole gang will be here. I'm going to try some funny stuff with an oscilloscope later to see if I can pick up an IRQ pin when MIDI messages come in. So we've got some cool stuff planned.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing where this goes, JP.
Right on. Thanks, Liz.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Now we're going to hear from folks in the community, and that is starting off with DJ Devin. Hey. How are you?
Hello, Liz. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I have a display project. I just wrote a playground note this week about the RA8875 device, which I'm not showing here, but that's just another neat recent development, is that I was able to read a pixel from the display and then write it back out to the display, which is functionality that was not previously in there. And so if you're curious about graphics accelerators and a large 800 by 480 display, that's a nice playground note to read. Anyway,
very cool.
This one is the ST8896. I forget. ST7796S. So these were my previous boards. These are adapter boards that go on the back and they plug in. One is a feather. One is a feather. One is a cutie pie. And I was like, yeah, switching between these is great, but wouldn't it be even better if they were all included in one package? Oh. So we have a Raspberry Pi, a feather, and a cutie pie. So here is a cutie pie, BFF LiPo with a large 1860 something battery.
Yeah.
And if I plug that in, long pins. There we go. Light is on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will unplug the cable. And that still has power.
Oh.
So you can use a feather with a Cutie Pie BFF or with a Pico Bell
Okay.
and swap and vice versa. So this is like a nice little all-in-one dev board.
That's
and
very cool.
I made this because helping people out in the Adafruit Discord, you need to have like every single board because every single question will come across through there,
Yes.
and you have to be able to iterate different setups for different things. And so this is just a real fast way that I can swap between different projects just to answer questions.
Very cool.
I know that's like the long way out of my way in order to do that, but this does work as cool as it sounds. Like I have been having an amazing time with this.
Yeah.
You can mix and match all your Pico Bells, your BFFs, all the Adafruit ecosystem all on one board, and it's all designed to drive a display for display projects mainly. But you can use it for
That's that
whatever
hidden
whatever
double
is.
feature.
Yep.
Yeah. Very
And
cool.
even though the boards themselves have Stemma QT, I did add a little Stemma QT connector down at the very bottom there.
You can never have too many Stemma QT
You really
connectors.
can't. I2C, you can chain like hundreds of those. So
Yeah.
the more plugs, the better. Yeah.
Yes. That's
Oh,
great.
yeah, and I had another demo. So while this is unplugged, I will go ahead and swap the feather out for a Raspberry Pi Pico.
Mm-hmm. I like that you did the double headers too, so you can get all the GPIO as well.
The double headers are really nice so that you don't have to breadboard projects.
Yeah.
So now we're running on a Raspberry Pi Pico, and this is just a simple touch calibration thing that I have. So I went from a feather to a Pico that quick.
Very cool.
And there you go. That's it.
Nice. Oh, are you gonna post up these files or?
Yes, the files will be available. I'll post a link to. Crap, I haven't shared it yet. I didn't think about that.
No pressure.
But here are some PCBs if anyone wants one, because these things are like you can put so much stuff on there. I only really needed one. So if anybody wants one, just let me know and I'll send you one.
All right.
I've only got 4 to give away.
Well, thanks so much for coming by tonight, and also thanks for sharing up your playground notes too.
And thank you for hosting, Liz. You have a great day.
Thanks, you too. All right, that has been an excellent show and tell. Thanks everyone for coming by and showing your projects. Stick around about 12 minutes. Ask an Engineer will be here live with Lady Ada and Mr. Lady Ada. And until then, have a great evening, everyone. Bye.